Hey guys, so it's been a hot minute since I started cracking on with this bike, which is a matching Honda Varadero 125 2006. It's basically exactly the same bike that I ride, which now has a stripped output shaft, and it's out of action. I believe we're just going to weld the sprocket for now while we wait for the output shaft to come from Japan so we can stick that in. But at the moment I managed to get this running. So if you take a closer look in here, you can see everything's wet, and I followed the drips all the way back up to this lip of the rear carb. So I'm going to be in the process of taking off the airbox, taking off the carb, seeing if it's the gasket or what's going on, because I'd love to crack on. And it's always good to find a leaf in your airbox. It's a brand new filter that I've put in. Right, so getting the carb out wasn't as hard as I initially thought it might be. It's just like maybe 10 screws all together to get it all out. So I haven't done all that much except tighten a couple of screws, reroute some tubing that I think might have been wrong, and yeah, I flipped around the fuel line because I think maybe I messed up the connections when I hooked it up before. That's maybe why it was leaking. Since I don't have a place to work on the bikes where I live, this is sort of how I get about, how I transport parts to and from, and the place that I'm working on the bike. And yeah, it's just made everything that little bit longer. Now I'm going back to have a look at the carb and why it's leaking, maybe change the gasket, and then I can come back, try to put it back on, start the bike up again. Hopefully it doesn't leak. Then we can think about... Speed bumps are dangerous when you're driving around with a carb in the front basket. Anyway, after we get it going with no leak, no fuel leak, we can get stuck in and balance the carb, hopefully. I've never done it. I've got a little tool for it, but that should be fun, and hopefully everything works and we can get it going. And this is how I transport my parts when I'm working on them. So I've made it back home, and here's my studio. For a better view, here it is. Well, actually, this is the wide angle. Yeah, this is where I do all my work. I share it with my fiance, but this is where I work on bike parts. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess, but let me explain to you what's happening, because I realized that I haven't put out a different video that addresses what I'm doing. So about half a year ago, my neighbour approached me as I was parking up my Honda Varadero 2006 which is actually now busted. The output shaft has stripped somehow. I'm not sure, but I'll go into the details of that in a future video, I guess. But what's happening is my neighbor approached me and gave me a matching Honda Varadero from 2006, which has been off the road since 2018. It had carb issues. It came with 2 busted carbs, and one of them I busted even more in the process of trying to fix it. I don't think I have any footage of that. I started filming on a DSLR and GoPro and stuff, and I got proper mics, and it just got a little bit too overwhelming, especially because my work's very busy. I work in the film industry as a camera assistant, and I had great aspirations to create content which looks beautiful, not only is interesting, well, hopefully it's interesting, but not only would it be interesting, but also look stunning. But that arose with more challenges of much more detailed editing and lugging around cameras and batteries and everything else. So I think I'm going to resolve to shooting on a phone and seeing how that goes, because with the setup I tried before, I'm just not doing it. It's sort of impossible to fit in my lifestyle, seeing as, you know, I'm working just on this small surgical trolley at home where I can strip parts and clean them and service them, and then I have to take them to where my bike is parked, my project bike is parked, which it's not in front of my house, just because I'd have to park it on the road. It would have to be taxed. Everything would have to be sorted out for it, and it would cost me too much. And it's just impossible to work when you live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, and you have to lug your tools out the front, and you know you can't leave a single thing out because to go upstairs because you forgot something. It would just get stolen. But yeah. I'm back to filming, and hopefully this is going to be it. And there are going to be many videos in the pipeline for this channel, predominantly of me doing stuff that interests me, which a lot of it's going to be mechanical stuff. I really want to, once I fix this bike, since we're going to have 2 matching Honda Varaderos, I would love to go on a bike touring trip with my fiance, who also rides the Honda Varadero that we share at the moment. She's an absolute trooper. She's like 5'6" maybe, and she somehow manages to, no problem, drive around the biggest 125 I've made around London in rush hour traffic, like fully laden with her toolkit. She's a art department assistant / production designer, art director. Anyway, yeah, there should be loads of videos coming out. I've got plans to potentially set up a flower farm back home in Poland for me, and that would be a great adventure to take you guys on. Anyway, let's get cracking with this, shall we? So what we have is a carb that I've pieced together. So like I said, I had 2 busted carbs. It's a V-twin, so there's a front carb and a rear carb, and they're both jetted differently. They're balanced differently. And on the 2 sets of carbs that I had, the front one was busted. On one of them, the front one was busted, and the other one, as I was taking apart to service, I busted it myself. I busted the front one, so leaving me with two double carb setups, which were both busted in the same way. So I had to Frankenstein it, pull both of them apart, gut one of the rear carbs, and transform it into a front carb, which, yeah, I mean, for someone, let me make this clear. The most I have done so far is change the oil on my car, change the brake pads on my car and discs. this is sort of as far as my mechanical knowledge went before this. I used to build bicycles, but the really simple type, that'd either be single speed or fixed gear with no brakes. So I never got into hydraulic brake systems or anything like that, pistons and so on. So on this bike, I've done absolutely almost everything. I just didn't open the engine case, but I've rebuilt the carbs, I've rebuilt the master cylinders for the front and back brake, and I've rebuilt the calipers. I've actually got them here. That is the rear brake caliper with a brand new piston in it. But yeah, I'm sure I'll show you guys this later on. And here's the front brake caliper with brand new pistons in it, and it's sort of cleaned up a little bit. Here are the old pistons as well, as you can see. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, I've rebuilt the brake system. I've looked into the front suspension because it looked like it was leaking, but it doesn't seem it is anymore. So I do have the replacement seals for it and oil, but I'm not trying to give myself more work than I need to do, just because this has been pretty intense for me. I had a really busy summer work-wise, and on top of it, I've been doing the bike project. Anyway, this is becoming very long. Let's just get cracking with seeing if we can get this working. So first of all, I'm going to have to clear all of this. So just rear brake master cylinder, brake calipers. I hope it doesn't make a mess on my fiance's workstation. But yeah, sort of one-man banding it here. And here is the carb. Let me remember which side. Yeah, so I remember it was this in particular that was leaking. So I'm gonna disconnect everything and then inspect the gasket. So I'm disconnecting everything, but one thing that I urge everyone to get when you're starting to work on a Japanese bike or a car are these JIS bits. They are Japanese industrial standard screws that match, well, bits that match Japanese industrial standard screws. And if you look at this Phillips head right here, you see, sorry, it's not focusing very well. You see the little dot between the splines? That indicates that it's a JIS Phillips head. It's not a Phillips head, it's a star screw of the Japanese industrial standard, which means that they fit perfectly together. And if you were to use a standard Western Phillips head, you're gonna absolutely ruin the screw. So just keep that in mind. I've already ruined quite a few, so keep that in mind. So I managed to get the cover off. It is quite mucky in there, and it is quite mucky in there as well. So I'm just going to try and fix that up. Right, I think I've cleaned this bit up enough. I'm going to get on with the gasket now. So since my replacement one isn't working, I feel like I might try to reuse this. So after trying to give this old gasket a clean, I've noticed that it's cracked in many places, which would explain why it's leaking, and it's pretty trash. As we've seen, the new gasket, this one, it looks a little bit small, and well, it's too big to fit in the framing, but it's also a little bit thin. However, I just read online that I could shrink it a little bit by putting it in a glass of boiling water for 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to give that a shot now. Let's see if this does it. I'll be really chuffed. I've also got some of this JB Weld Ultimate Black RTV 100% silicone gasket maker and sealant. So, sorry, if that fits relatively well into the groove, I can add a little bit of that sealant in and try to run it. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Put the gasket into some boiling water and let's see what happens in 1 or 2 minutes. So it's been 2 minutes. I'm going to pull the gasket out from the hot water, dry it off on my trousers, and have a little look. To be honest with you, doesn't look like it's done anything. Still, when it fits around, you can see that it doesn't fit around all the way, which is a bummer, but I'm going to try and actually boil some water in a pot, put that in there for a couple of minutes and see how we go. So unfortunately this still doesn't fit after boiling it for I want to say like 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. It hasn't changed size. It's quite annoying, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to order a new gasket and get back to it then. So since it's impossible for me to fit the old gasket since it's cracked, and the replacement ones that I got don't actually fit because I ordered the wrong ones. These things happen, I guess, every now and then, especially if you're new like me. But anyway, I've ordered a new gasket. It should come within 1 or 2 weeks, as the Honda dealership nearby doesn't stock them as a result of ordering them online, and we'll wait for those. And I guess that's going to be everything for this video. Keep your eyes out for part 2. I'm going to try and make weekly videos from now on. Obviously this one part 2 of this one might come out a little bit later, just due to my work and the potential of the parts not arriving. But I might be working in other parts of the bike because I've got suspension to put back on, front suspension to put back on, I've got the brake system to go back on, and then the fun job of filling it up with brake oil or brake fluid, sorry, and then bleeding it and setting it up to be ready for driving, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh yeah, don't forget to click that like button, hit subscribe, and the bell, obviously the bell. Every little helps at the moment, guys, seeing as this is my first video to be up. Yeah, welcome.